Okay, the build's still going on for the affordable square drop trailer. Now we ran into a problem, found a solution, and then I also need your help with another problem. So let's start with the first problem. All right. And then so as you can see, I have the line at the top of the bracket, and then when you come to the center, the axle is bowed. Now this is on purpose. Okay, so now the reason for this is, I believe it's to correct the camber of the wheels on the trailer. So you're going to see that in axles, the axle tube has a bend in it. I didn't plan for that in this frame design. So with that solid beam going through from the tongue to the back, which I want, if I have to tow the vehicle and the trailer from the trailer, it's pulling straight to the trailer to the tow vehicle and not trying to pull the trailer apart. So great plan, except that originally I was going to use Timbren axleless suspension, which wouldn't have, it does have a center beam for strength, but that would sit a little lower. That would be flat because it'd be your own beam. You put a flat beam in and you're good to go. This one here, because my beam runs to the center, when we put the axle on, I noticed that the mounting bracket on my friend's side was sitting up. I said, something must be under it. And I looked down at mine, it was the same way. And immediately it clicked. I looked at the center and it was sitting on the beam. So the easy solution for that is, somewhat easy solution, I'm going to order some steel plates. These are, the mounting brackets are 2" by 9 3/4. I'm going to get plates made up for that, maybe be 1/2 inch thick, so it'll give it some room between the top of that axle beam and this center support from the tongue. That solves that problem. And then as far as the build goes, right now I'm working on, I drilled my holes for the axles. Right now it's just clamped on so I can move it around. But I mounted my holes, I decided on a spot, and I guess that's where we're going for now. Hopefully this works out. You don't know until you put your weight in, you try to plan for that, but this should work out. If not, I guess I'm going to be drilling holes in the cabin, which I'm going to hate, but we'll have to do it. And inside, I'm going to have steel bar. I have that sitting over there. Going to cut those, put them in, weld them. This will do two things. It will keep the frame from collapsing as I torque the axle bolts down. And then it'll also seal up the frame. So this is going to be a 4-season trailer. I don't want salt, which we use a lot of here, to get inside the frame and rot it. I want this to last as long as possible. Everything rots around here anyway, but I'm hoping this will give it more life, a longer lifespan. Now, and as far as bolts go, doing some research, found out the bolts I wanted to use, which was yellow zinc, they're not as good for this environment. So I found something else that they say will last much longer. We'll talk about that in the next video. I have the bolts, I have the nuts, washers, and the lock washers here already, waiting for the bolts to come in. They should be here in a couple of days. So once I do that welding, put some paint on it, I should be able to bolt the axle on, which I'm really excited about. Now the problem I have that I need help with, doors. Finding doors in Canada, turns out it's really difficult unless I order from Amazon, and I'm not seeing really good reviews on a lot of those doors. I'm so I'm hoping not to go that route, but those doors are in say $700-800 range, maybe 650 to 800. They used to be 550. Prices have gone up, but for one supplier out west, I'm on the East Coast. One supplier out west in Canada has doors listed, and these doors are 36 inches by say 26 to maybe 30 inches. Seems like there's three sizes: 36 inches tall, 26, 28, or 30 inches wide. And their doors are listed at over $1,200. I saw some, I think it was $2,200. That's half, the 2,200 is probably half of the budget for this trailer, or for the main part of the trailer without all the electronics and everything else. So I definitely don't want to go that route. So what I'm looking for is, of anywhere in Canada, hopefully on the East Coast, that I can order doors at a reasonable price. Like I said, I want a passenger side door. Price is right, maybe both, but I'm going to frame up for two doors. But because of cost, we're only going to do one to start, and then I can cut through. Shouldn't have to do any welding if I'm using the same door. So that's the plan. But looking for a 36-inch tall door, passenger side, 28, 26, 28, 30. At this point, I don't really care. I just want a door that works and seals. I don't really want to build that door. The galley door, I'm probably going to build, unless you know of a good, let's say 4-foot by 3-foot door. I found them before. I can't seem to find any now. I think I saw them for about 500 before. I'm not even finding any now. All the doors I'm finding are small, little compartment doors. So if you can help me with that, that'd be wonderful. But as far as that goes, I have to do some of this work here once those parts come in. Then I also have to order my steel for the cabin. I'm on vacation in a couple of weeks. I'm hoping to get a lot of that done. The only problem is I can't finalize the door and the window openings. That's something too. I'm looking for windows. One small window for vent, like just a small, maybe 22-inch by maybe 14-inch window, roughly. Not really concerned about the exact size. And then one window for egress. My wife wants one that we can use for egress. So I guess they're 30-some inches by 20-some inches. If you have any leads on those, I would love to hear it. But once I get the steel for the cabin, I want to start welding that out, and I'll just leave my spacing for my doors and the windows. And then once they're in, I'll have to complete the framing for that. Then I can get my ACM, put my ACM panels on, and it'll start looking like an actual camper. So I'm getting excited. I wish it was done already. I want this done. I want to be able to use this summer, so we've got to get going on it. And if I can get this bare shell done and get the inside sealed and maybe even some of the galley, I'm not even worried if the galley's done. Once it's ready enough that I can get it registered, I want to hit the trails, and then I can build it out as I go and see what I want. So thanks for watching. If you're interested in this build, please subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.